Hey everyone, talking about the top 5 best coffee fragrances. If you're not aware, I do not make best of lists until I kind of organically reach a point where I really feel like, okay, yep, these are the ones that I would list on a very best of. Like, I don't come up with something like, oh, I want to make a coffee list and then, figure out which ones to add. So finally got to the point where there are 5 where yep, these really feel like best of to me. And yeah, not necessarily in order, but the first one is my favorite. So jumping in. CupaJoe by BathSabbath. The notes in this are freshly brewed coffee with hints of vanilla and cream. This is just so good. So this one is really perfectly balanced to me between very much coffee dominant. There's no one's going to smell this and not realize it as coffee. But there's also enough of light, fresh sweetness sort of side to it as well, where it's not just so bitter that it becomes just like a repellent or anything like that, even if you're not like a diehard coffee fan. I haven't drank coffee in years, so it's not about me being a coffee fan for that matter, but it kind of reminds me of the smell of like a good coffee shop. Just like cozy and comforting and invigorating at the same time. One time I put this on at 4 p.m. and I was literally up like almost all night and still smelled it on my wrist, even after like washing my hands and stuff in between. I think even maybe taking a shower at 18 hours later or something like that. So a little goes a long way with this, for me at least. And yeah, I would say pretty unisex overall. 2, long, ridiculous name on this one. Most people just refer to it as roasted coffee, but the actual name is roasted coffee cigarette whiskey. Come and get your Suede baby honey by Stranger's Parfumerie. This one is not over the top bitter, but it's also not one of those like super sweet coffee scents either. Like, it's not gas station black coffee, but it's also not like watered down 5 pumps of vanilla latte type of sweet either. Perfect balance to me between having like a rich, intense coffee vibe, but with a lot more of an intriguing mystery side than most scents like that. There's a popcorn note in here, which I think was a brilliant addition. It adds this interesting, slightly salty pop, no pun intended, that really goes well with the coffee. There's honey here, but that doesn't go too syrupy, which is usually my complaint about honey notes, and it's just very well blended. And it also, there's like a boozy note, but it does not get overly boozy at all either. So just everything here is very smooth, just a fantastic cold weather nighttime scent, I would say. Good longevity and moderate to good projection. And that one's unisex, leaning slightly masculine. Some people say that they get a lot of a sweeter side than others. If you look at reviews, you'll see a lot of mixed things, with some people being like, this is such an intense coffee scent, and others people being like, the coffee's in the background, what are you talking about? So just a reminder, things can smell, one, very different to different people, even just on a test strip, but especially with the way that skin chemistry can interact. So there's no guarantee of how it's going to come across for you, but yeah, for me, it's very, very nice, and I love it. Next up, Caffaeum by Alkemia Perfumes. The notes in this are 5-year aged black amber, labdanum, and benzoin infused with strong Arabian coffee. This is rich, thick, elegant coffee, nuanced by resinous labdanum and amber, and the benzoin adds this kind of like slight vanillic type of side. Seems like it smells a lot, as with maybe what I said about the last one, a lot sweeter to some people than others. For me, it's very strong coffee, bitter, but in a good way, with the sweetness very much in balance and not at all front and center sweet. I really like it. Moderate longevity and projection, very unisex. Some people do say, oh, this is so sweet, I can't believe anyone would think that. And as with what I've said earlier, things can smell very different to different people, and even more so, things can definitely change drastically depending on your skin chemistry. So yeah, your mileage may vary with that one, but I personally love it as like a very thick, elegant coffee type of scent. And I think the labdanum and amber and benzoin really add a nice nuance to it as well. Next, coffee bean, cacao, and Khus, which is like vetiver. And those are the notes in it as well, by Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. This is like rich, authentic, fresh brewed coffee beans with deep, dark cacao and then that vetiver style accord. It's strong, but it somehow never gets too bitter to me. The cacao brings a sweet side, but not in like an overly syrupy or sugary way or anything like that. I would say this smells like being inside a cozy yet invigorating coffee shop. Super well blended, and also probably my number one favorite from that fragrance house, Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab, that I've tried so far. And last, Half Dead Cafe by Lovesick Witchery. The notes in this one are coffee beans, cafe au lait, mocha, hazelnut, vanilla caramel, and salted butterscotch. So as you may be able to tell from that notes list, that one is indeed a lot sweeter than some of these others. And I think to me this captures the like sweetened coffee drinks type of vibe perfectly. Very compelling, and just the kind of thing that just plain smells good. Like, if you were walking by someone wearing it, you might unexpectedly turn your head and be like, ooh, what is that? That smells good, nice, or something like that. So yeah, in terms of the kind of class of coffee scents that smell, like an actual like more sweet latte type of thing or something like that, to me this one is a very quintessential version. But if you don't like the sweet idea of it, then I would skip it. But if you do, that's a perfect one to try. I think moderate longevity and projection for that, and unisex, but that one's a bit more feminine leaning than the others on the list. And then an honorable mention, I would say, is Bel Antonio by Hilde Soliani. I'm only saying an honorable mention because that one I loved. I think that was great and totally deserved it, but that's tobacco and coffee, and the tobacco can be really strong in that, so it's not quite as much of like a very coffee dominant type of scent for everyone. But I think that one's very smooth and refined, but also still has like a dirty side that's edgy, like pipe tobacco and pure coffee beans, kind of like cozy, comforting, and lively at the same time. And yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite tobacco scents that I've tried as well. So I think if you like the idea of a tobacco and coffee one, that is best in class. With moderate to good longevity, moderate projection, unisex leaning slightly masculine, and 160 for 100 ml. So yeah, these are my favorite coffee scents. I thought for a long time that I just didn't really like coffee fragrances that much, but it turns out it was more about like, oh, I'm picky about coffee as a note when it's combined with other things. Because the more I've tried more and more coffee stuff, I have come to like appreciate a lot of like very coffee dominant ones. And as mentioned, my number one favorite, CupaJoe by BathSabbath. But if you are either interested in like kind of checking out the realm of coffee scents, I definitely recommend sampling any on this list. Or if you know that you like the smell of coffee, I also recommend it. And yeah, if you have a favorite coffee scent, let me know.